Did you get ashed for Ash Wednesday, like Gwen? I can't even talk about Gwen. It's too much. It's too
Gwenny,
much.
Gwen.
The shit is bananas. Anyway, what was that noise? I don't know. I just heard a really odd noise. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong, a podcast presented by two exes who are still good friends. My name is Josh. I am one of the hosts and one of the exes, and the other host, is Sean. How are you, Sean?
I'm good, thanks. Every time you say it, it just makes me laugh. Where you say two exes who are still good friends. Like, still good friends. Like
what? That's not enough.
It just sounds
there
very.
There were weaker premises. Premises? Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, there were weaker premises for podcasts. So I feel like that.
Yeah, no. I just mean it the way that you describe referring to our friendship as good friends who are still good friends.
Good friends. Well, all right. Well, what do you want me to say?
Well,
I don't know. Still on speaking terms.
Yeah. Who are still know who each other are.
Well, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a little bit of port. So cheers, everybody.
We're recording this on a Friday night, so this is your letting loose on a Friday night.
It is. This is Friday nights in your late 40s. Very late 40s.
Well, I'm Friday nights in my early 50s, and I've had a bottle of Huel, which is the protein drink, and some lentil crisps.
Okay.
And that's my wild Friday night.
Living life on the veg, Sue.
On the veg of glory.
If we have time, I want to talk about it, but my brain is still recovering from my virtual reality experience yesterday.
Well, why don't you tell us about it quickly? Why don't you
tell us about it, Janet? Well, my mum's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I took her to a virtual reality exhibition, I suppose you'd call it, installation in Shepherd's Bush, which is a suburb of London, and it was a visit to Machu Picchu in Peru. And
so whack.
It sounds so whack. Have you ever worn a virtual reality headset before?
Not since they've been good. Probably when they were really crummy.
Well, until yesterday, I'd never worn one before, and I freaked out. Like, it was the great Frisco freak out because it was so realistic. I can't explain how weird it was. Like, it was about a 45-minute experience or visit, if you like. And afterwards, my brain had been reprogrammed. Like, I was questioning reality. I thought I was living in the Matrix because the imagery is so real, and no matter which way you turn your head, there's no flaw in it. It's so realistic. Like, you can look up, you're standing on the top of the mountain in Machu Picchu, and you're looking out at this incredible scene. And I think they blow cold, moist air into the room because there's all these clouds swirling around, and you're just like, you're looking around and you look up and the sky is full of stars. It was so bizarre. And then coming out afterwards, I felt like I had some sort of brain damage. Like, we kept touching things. I was like, I don't know if anything is real anymore. And it was so odd.
Did you feel like Shirley MacLaine? You know how she would have these spiritual awakenings?
Yeah, I did. It was a Shirley MacLaine spiritual quest that I went on to Machu Picchu. But it was truly one of the weirdest, mind-altering experiences I've had in my life.
How did your mum deal with it?
She didn't like it. She felt scared and dizzy and unsteady. And there was a bit, I'm not that great with heights, and there was a bit where I don't know if I was actually on a platform that moved, but it felt to me like they lifted you up on a platform over the top of Machu Picchu, so you're like up in the clouds. Anyway, it was a complete head fuck, and I still feel like I will never recover from it.
I think the closest I've gotten to that is, probably doing virtual reality rides at Disney, but you don't wear a mask for that.
No, so
It's
you can
just on
look
a screen.
away and it's
Yes.
normal life, whereas
Yeah, and
this,
no matter how exciting or seemingly
like immersive.
immersive it is, you
Mm,
still have the concept that you're out. You're not in that game. It's just on a
yeah,
screen. I
yeah.
remember many years ago down at Darling Harbour. Do you remember there used to be Sega World
Yeah, I
down at
remember
Darling Harbour?
I was talking to my friend Sal, who's from Sydney, who lives in Sydney, about Sega World the other
Yeah,
day, and she was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "How do you not know this?"
and
But yeah, I
I
do
think in
remember.
Australia people probably called it Sega. I think we pronounced it
Yeah, but
Sega World.
this is all via text, so it would have
Oh,
been spelled
okay.
anyway. Yeah.
And so down there, near there was a shopping center, and there was this virtual reality roller coaster ride where you'd get in a capsule
Hmm.
and it would shut, and you'd only fit like two people in it, and the screen was sort of all around you. Really clumsy and not great technology for the time, and
Mm,
you were on a roller coaster. And
okay.
I got motion sick from being in it, and I think
But the
mostly because
capsule moved, right? So
yeah,
it
it like
moved
jerked
in
around
time with
and
what was being shown. Yeah.
yeah, and but it was,
Yeah.
it was really busted up and
Yeah.
like and so I was on there with, Ian's brother
Busted brick.
and yeah, Brick. I was on there with, Ian's brother, Andrew, when he was a little boy, and
Hmm.
he thought it was great, and I was there, like, clutching my stomach, like, "This is the
Clutching your
worst."
pearls.
Yeah, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." So I haven't had a lot of experience with
Well, this
VR
was
since then.
fully like it really messed with my head. You know, it felt like I was in the upside down. It was so bizarre because that's the other thing, and I think maybe it's a device they use to fool your brain or to distract your brain from slight imperfections or something. But um, but there was like a fine dust in the air in the virtual reality world, and so it had that real kind of upside down feel from Stranger Things, and it was just so bizarre. I kept having to like remind myself that, oh, I'm not really standing on the top of a, I don't know, 15,000-foot mountain or whatever.
And what is there some sort of little robot that's your guide that flits
Yeah,
around?
that was fucking awful. Like that was just awful. Um,
What was the robot's name?
I
Was it
can't
like
remember. I
did
can't
it
remember.
have like a Machu Picchu style name, or was it like little Susie or something?
No, it was like, ugh, I can't even remember. It was just annoying and stupid. Um, And there was a llama that followed you around as well. It was so bizarre, so
Well, I
bizarre.
saw
Anyway,
that if you book in advance or pay in advance, you can get the plush toy of that llama.
yeah, for an extra fee.
Yeah. So you didn't buy
Yeah,
any merchandise from your trip to
no, no. It was it. I would go. I would do something like that again, but I wouldn't go into it knowing what I was going into. I had no idea what I was doing when
You've
I.
you've taken drugs before. Could you imagine going and doing that on
Oh,
drugs?
that's exactly what I was thinking. Even if I'd had a coffee before, I would have been freaking out. But like I was thinking, God, imagine coming here stoned or tripping or something. Like you would freak out. I mean, obviously you can just at any point you can take the headset off, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's and but then I
Or
was like, if you did that, would that really fuck with you? You know how like there's
how
that.
your brain would break, like coming
Yeah,
out of the Matrix too early.
there's an I don't think there's any medical science to back this up, but there's that sort of urban myth of you can't wake somebody up if they're sleepwalking. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Like you can't wake someone up if they're sleepwalking because the shock will like kill them
Or
or
somebody's astral traveling. They can
if you're Shirley MacLaine up a pyramid and you're
yeah,
astral
if you
traveling,
fall while
don't
you're
wake her
astral
up.
traveling, you
Don't wake
die
her
in
up.
real life.
Don't wake her up, little girls. Don't you do it.
But if you like, yeah, if you die while you're being incepted with Leonardo DiCaprio, you die in real life.
Yeah. So I
Um,
don't know what would have happened if I just flipped off the mask.
do you know we were talking about like some drag queens last week and my online beef with them,
How's
but
your
it's all
battle?
it's all quietened down a bit. But Monet Exchange tells the story about how she once took drugs and was convinced that she went to ancient Mesopotamia, and was saying she
What
believes
was
it
it, like ayahuasca or something? Or
maybe, I don't know, but she said it was a real memory of hers, is that she
hmm
was there in
hmm
Mesopotamia, and she was in a cupboard, like, on these drugs, but
Oh, I thought you
she
meant she was in a cupboard in Mesopotamia. I was
no,
like, what was
no,
she
she
doing
was
in a?
in a cupboard, and then
Okay.
she had this full experience of being in Mesopotamia, and,
Well,
just
we probably should move on, but I maybe on another episode we can talk about my past life regression when I have real lived memory of being an Amazonian indigenous person.
it's so awful. So ridiculous. Anyway, talking of lives and moving on, and there is something that I wanted to discuss this week because it's quite poignant and relevant to who we are, like from a pop culture point of view. But there
hmm
was a famous songwriter named Billy
mm
Steinberg who passed away this week at age 75. So, what do you
hmm
know about Billy Steinberg?
I know that he's been a songwriter for many, many decades and has written songs. He would write mostly with Tom Kelly. Billy Steinberg would write the lyrics, and Tom Kelly would write the music. But he did write on his own and with other people as well.
Yeah.
And he probably came to my attention for being the songwriter for Madonna's "Like a Virgin" song. That's probably the first time I would have ever seen his name on the liner notes of the Like a Virgin album or something like that. But then, of course, throughout the 80s, 90s, noughties, 2010s, 2020s, even he wrote songs for so many people. Like we couldn't
Oh,
possibly
so
list them
many.
all. Um,
Ridiculous amounts of people. I mean, I made a little list here. Uh,
mm,
uh, Somebody's created a Spotify playlist of songs that Billy Steinberg has either written or been involved in writing, and I sent it through to you just to kind
mm,
of reminisce and get us prepared to just have a quick chat about it. But
mm,
um, I think for us as people of a certain age, like you're nearly 50, I'm just over 50, both being queer, gay people as well, a lot of what he was involved in was a big part of our pop culture
oh,
experience,
yeah,
don't you think?
definitely,
So not
definitely.
only you mentioned, "Like a Virgin" by Madonna, which
hmm
clearly for both of us as young gay people, we were really into Madonna. Not to say that all young gay people have to be, but for us in the '80s and
For our generation, it was
yeah,
almost a given. Um,
and even if you weren't into Madonna, you couldn't not know what "Like a Virgin" was if you're
no,
our age. I mean,
no,
what do you what's the word you use to describe something being in sort of inextric where something's
inextricably
inextricably
linked.
linked to Madonna, and the
Yeah,
'80s is "Like a
yeah,
Virgin." I mean,
yeah,
it's apart from I can't think of any other song really that has had such maybe Material Girl.
yeah. But I
Eh,
think like a virgin has lasted because I don't, I think I don't think she's performed Material Girl in decades, whereas like a virgin she has done.
no, but I mean,
Um,
even people who don't know what the song Material Girl sounds like know that it's a Madonna song because she's often referenced as, "Oh, the
I
original
think
Material Girl."
I don't think people younger than 30 would know that reference. I think that's particular to our generation, really.
Okay, so I picked out some of Billy Steinberg co-written songs
hmm
that I think that meant something to you and me or had a big cultural impact for people our age. You tell me if you agree with these ones that I picked out because there were hundreds. So
Yeah.
I've picked out the ones that I think that you and I would resonate with you and I.
hmm
So obviously, like a Virgin. Um,
Which was
it,
quite, for the record, never uh, a favorite Madonna song of mine. Like, I never really liked the song, to be honest. Sorry, Billy Steinberg, but and it wasn't ever one of my favorite Madonna songs by any stretch. But anyway,
yeah.
carry on, continue.
Um, Eternal Flame by the
hmm
Bangles.
And it was
Um,
really interesting. I listened to, do you know that? I've mentioned it before, the podcast called Soda Jerker on songwriting.
mhm.
And there was an interview, they interviewed Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that. And it was so interesting. They were talking about one of the cities that they were from or that they'd lived in. There was like an eternal flame, one of these like war memorial
Yes.
eternal flame things. And that was where they got that idea from. And it was so interesting just hearing about the genesis of just an idea of a song and then writing that song, and also how it's, sorry, I know I'm going off on a million tangents, but how Eternal Flame doesn't really have a chorus, and it's really odd for a pop song like that not to
Yeah.
have a
It
chorus.
just it just repeats the same
Yeah,
few
yeah.
lines over and over, but it has such drama to it.
I know, it
I
has
mean,
a real build, and
yeah, and a shout out. Talking of Eternal Flames, just a quick shout out to everyone in Brisbane listening for and hello to the Eternal Flame in Anzac Square, or whatever it's
is there
called.
is there one in Anzac
Yeah.
Square? That's hilarious.
Um, so Alone by Heart, which is to me one of the campest
Mm,
rock pop rock songs of all time. I love it. I'll Stand by You, The Pretenders, True Colors, Cyndi Lauper, which is obviously like a queer classic, but also just a more mainstream pop
mhm,
culture classic.
mhm,
I Touch Myself by the Divinals,
mhm. An Aussie
and they all.
classic.
Yeah, he also wrote another co-wrote another song with Chrissy and Mark um, from the Divinals. I'm on Your Side, which is one of my favorite songs, but I
Oh,
didn't put it
yeah.
on this list because I just didn't think it was like the biggest hitting. I
Mhm.
Drove All Night. Now, on this list, I didn't put who performed that because there are three famous versions. Do you
Yeah.
know who did all three
Well,
versions?
yeah, obviously Roy, Cindy, and Celine.
Uh huh.
And it was written for Roy originally. But at that time in the 80s, Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly were writing a lot for Cyndi Lauper. I don't know if it's on your list, but Heading West.
I didn't
And,
put that. I only put one Cindy song down
oh,
because there were
okay.
just so many that they worked with her on.
My First Night Without You. I mean, yeah, so many. Um,
Um, Another massive one here is So Emotional by Whitney
hmm
Houston.
hmm
One of my favorites, I don't know if this will be as familiar for you, but Sex as a Weapon by Pat Benatar.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
And then I've put one on here for our friend Derek, who sometimes listens. And it's a big song, but maybe not as big for you, but A Little Too Late by JoJo.
Oh, and it
And,
was.
and,
Did you see our friend Melinda, who writes for Billboard? She
hmm,
did an article about Billy, and she included a quote from his son, and his son was saying, because his son was a teenager when that song was released. He said that was the
yeah,
first time he really understood what his father did, because until then it had all been so abstract. It had been like people he hadn't grown up with, maybe, or wasn't as familiar with. But then when he was in high school, and that song, Too Little Too Late, was a hit, um, he said it was so strange for him to have seen the song go from an idea to a demo to, a more polished demo and to the final thing, and
yeah.
everything. So yeah,
And it was a big hit, but for people our
yeah,
generation, they might not be as familiar with it. But I
yeah.
wanted to give it a shout out because Derek
Well,
loves it and loves
Derek,
JoJo.
cheers, cheers
But
to you on a Friday night.
listen to this. This isn't even everybody, but Belinda Carlisle, Demi Lovato,
Hmm.
Melanie C, The Veronicas,
Oh,
Chicago, Tina
you
Turner,
can't. Yeah,
Ace of Base, Weezer. Like it goes on, right? Cher, Kylie Minogue, Lisa Loeb, The Commodores,
I
like
know, I know.
Ronnie
Donna,
Spector.
Donna
What's fun?
Delory.
Donna Delory. What's funny on here is Eighth Wonder. Isn't that
Yeah, I
band
know. They
that
did a lot of Patsy Kensit.
Patsy Kensit was in?
He
And
did a
then
lot of songs with them.
and just as I mean, there's a whole list I've written here. I can't read out. Paris Hilton, Tatu, Linda Ronstadt. I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
I know,
And
I know,
then, hilariously, after our discussion the other week, Holly Valance as
I
well.
know, I know.
The celebrated Z grade right wing lunatic Holly
Hmm.
Valance. But
Hmm.
anyway, Billy Steinberg sadly passed away at 75 from cancer. His family released a statement, and in part it said, Billy Steinberg's life was a testament to the enduring power of a well written song and to the idea that honesty, when set to music, can outlive us all.
Mm.
And I think that's really sweet, but it also got me thinking about when we were talking about legacy. And I mean, this man has a legacy, a musical legacy that will far outlive I mean, he wasn't even really a household name in his lifetime, and these songs are
Mm.
some of the most famous songs of modern times,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
it
incredible.
will be, you know how we talk now about famous songwriters, like people like Cole Porter, for example, who
Yeah.
in previous millennium, previous millennia, previous decades, centuries, or whatever, was such a far-reaching, prolific songwriter.
Mhm.
I wonder if in the future people will look back at people like Billy Steinberg and be really interested in who he was as a person, instead of
Yeah.
just the artists who recorded his songs.
But he was such a when you read about him, he was such a unassuming person. And the
Mm.
same with Tom Kelly as well. I don't think they were, sort of big, sort of attention-seeking
No,
individuals. And
no.
they were in it for the love of it. And actually, Tom Kelly actually sort of drifted away from songwriting in the mid-90s. And I think he kind of just lost interest. But then they got back together when they were both inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2011, and
Mm,
they joined forces to go and collect that award, that honor together. But
mm.
maybe we can finish by contrasting what a kind and seemingly compassionate person he was with holding him up against Madonna, because we love to bash Madonna on the pod and we get dragged
So
for it.
be careful.
But Tom Kelly and Billy Steinberg wrote Like a Virgin that eventually found its way to Madonna, and Madonna recorded it, but they didn't actually get to meet her until quite a few years after. And they were at, I think, Madonna's manager's 50th birthday party or something like that, and they were finally in the same room with Madonna. And Billy Steinberg went up to Madonna and said, "Oh, hi, Madonna. I'm Billy Steinberg. I've always wanted to meet you." And Madonna was with Warren Beatty at the time. And Madonna just looked at him and said, "Well, now you have." And walked away, turned her back and walked away and said, "Come
Just
on,
walked
Warren."
away, ladies and gentlemen. Walked away.
But
Well,
I believe that story because I've heard enough stories about Madonna to understand the sort of personality that she is. But
yeah.
he said that he was quite upset by it. But Tom Kelly said he just laughed. He just said it was so ridiculous that
What
couldn't do anything but laugh.
what struck me when you sent me that playlist, was just going through the song names, the song titles,
Yeah.
and thinking about our chat last week about limerence. Um, and so many of the song titles are about crying, tears, like uh, heartbreak, like that. I can't stay away. Um, I've always loved you. I don't want to lose you. Tears from the moon. So many of them are about that real sort of limerent over romanticization of a situation. And I think that's really interesting for me as a songwriter to, like I said, like maybe actually tap into that sometimes. Like that
I
can
mean,
actually be a universal theme for a lot of people, can't it?
what's weird also about that list of songs is the one that really stands out as an outlier for those themes that you're talking about of like
Mm,
attachment and love and longing is
mm,
the I Touch Myself by the Divinals. I mean, it's a
hmm
song about masturbation,
hmm
and it is so out of
Yeah, yeah,
norm for the sort of things that Billy Steinberg would write lyrics about.
yeah.
There's a documentary. I should have written it down, but there's a documentary about masturbation that came out, I think, in about 2016, and he appeared in it as himself to talk about writing that song. And I
All right.
think he performed it and sang it live on a piano for the
Oh, really?
documentary. And I
Oh,
tried
wow.
to find a video of it, but I couldn't find footage of it. But I don't know if I want to sit through a whole documentary about masturbation just to see
Well,
that
if
one
if
performance.
if you or I can find that link, I'll put it in the show notes for this
But
episode.
also maybe put the link to the Spotify playlist. Some people
Oh,
might be
yeah.
interested in having a skim through like some of the songs
Yeah,
that.
I think if you're not familiar with Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly, you'll be really surprised. Most people will be very surprised at how many of the songs they recognize.
Yeah. Oh, like how amazing! Little River Band, The Cause, Katie Lang, Cheap Trick. I mean,
All
Air
right. Yeah.
Supply. It's
All
just
right. See.
incredible. But imagine being somebody who's written that number of songs for that many
I know.
artists, and
I know. You wonder. I mean, they most both must have, or maybe Tom Kelly less so, but they both must have been so driven to just write stuff, to just constantly create over and over and over. Because I mean, you look at that list of songs, and that's not the definitive list.
no,
He must have written probably thousands of songs.
yeah.
Maybe not all of them made it past the demo stage, but to be that prolific and to create that much output is phenomenal.
What would him being a lyricist?
Mm.
How you do both, right? So when you write a song, you write music and lyrics. What comes first for you?
And normally a chorus with a melody line and some idea about what the lyric will be, and then the choruses, I would say, come fairly easy for me. I mean,
Yeah,
I say easy in inverted commas because it's not always like it just comes. But then it's the verses which I find absolutely torturous. I really
I
struggle
wonder.
with that.
Like, I don't know his working process, Billy Steinberg, what it was like, but I
Mm,
wonder if he came up with lyrical ideas first and then went to someone like Tom Kelly and said, "Hey, I've got this idea." I think with Like a Virgin, I think he came up with those lyrics first,
hmm
and then Tom Kelly then wrote the music for it as a ballad
hmm
originally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they were like, "Oh, no, this doesn't quite work. Let's do
And
something else."
I think he made Tom sing the demo version of that, and he said Tom felt like such an idiot recording that song because the lyrics are so corny. I mean, they're so cheesy, aren't they? You
Oh,
made
yeah,
me
it
feel
really
like a
is.
virgin touched for the very first time. I mean, that just makes me think of that Bette Midler joke where she's dragging Madonna and she just says
Yeah,
it must have been around the time that Like a Virgin came out. And she says,
yeah.
"Oh, like a virgin touched for the very first time. For the very first time today." And it's just just typical Bette Midler sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm not gonna do
Very
another Bette Midler.
1980s very 1980s misogyny at play
Well,
there. But also
Probably written
Madonna
by
didn't.
Bruce Valanche. Valanche.
Maybe.
Valanche.
But
Yeah.
Madonna didn't like that song either, and she had to be talked into it by the record company, and then
Yeah.
it went on to be number 1 for 6 weeks in the USA, so,
Well, it was almost a
and it
sort of
became.
breakthrough hit, really, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, and it changed her life forever. I mean, she became a millionaire from it. But anyway, so
Well,
farewell to Billy Steinberg, and can we pivot a little bit and talk about something that is huge news here in the UK this week and all around the world? And I don't know if what will happen by the time this comes out. We're recording this on a Friday night. By the time Tuesday comes out, I don't know where this issue will stand. But Andrew Mountbatten-WIndsor was arrested and taken in for questioning at a police station in the UK in England, and it is the biggest news. How did you find out about it?
when you texted me and said,
Oh,
I don't know, something, Andrew's been arrested, and I was like, what are you talking about? What are you? And so I quickly checked the news, and there it was. So I don't know. I've got some thoughts. What are your thoughts about it, though?
well, first of all, let me just say that we'll give some people who might not know all the facts about it. I'll give a little overview. I just watched before we came online. I watched a little news report by ABC News Australia, just to get, because there's a lot of, if you rely on social media, there's a lot of misinformation floating around. So
Mm.
Andrew was arrested by the Thames Valley Police and was held for 10 hours um, under under this charge of
Misconduct in
suspicion.
public office.
Well, yeah, it's suspicion of misconduct in public office. He shared confidential government information with Jeffrey Epstein, the dead and notorious sex trafficker and pedophile.
Allegedly dead.
Well, allegedly dead, but definitely not allegedly a sex
Sex
trafficker.
pest.
He'd been imprisoned for that,
Hmm
um, and he shared these documents with Epstein when Andrew himself was trade envoy between 2001 and 2011, and he did so by forwarding emails with the files attached from his own email account to Jeffrey Epstein. At the time of recording this, I think Andrew's property and previous properties are still being searched, and he is still under investigation. The investigation is still going on. I have a lot of feelings about this. Part of me, as an anti-royalist, anti-monarchist, is really happy to see somebody attached to that family get some sort of negative comeuppance. But the world is so topsy-turvy, so like Machu Picchu VR bullshit. I'm not sure I believe anything that goes on, and I'm highly suspicious that he's not just being used as a scapegoat by other powerful people who think that this will take the heat off and will satiate public anger a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. My concern, of course, it was a shock because there's been nobody in the royal family arrested in something like 300 years in the United Kingdom.
350 years.
350 years. So, yeah, I mean, it is like almost unimaginable to think that this has happened. Like you, I have a lot of distrust and dislike of the royal family, and there was part of me that enjoyed seeing one of the elites, I suppose, kind of maybe taken down a peg or two. But I've got a lot of concerns, and first of all, the charge that he was brought in on and arrested for misconduct in public office is such a broad, general, and very hard to prove and prosecute charge. It To me, my first thought was, well, that doesn't give any attention to the other crimes that he committed, like the crimes of a sexual nature. And of course, I suppose we have to say these are alleged crimes of sleeping with underage women, of having underage women flown into the UK on Epstein's private jet. These
and
are
also,
all.
and I know that you don't mean it like this, but I think we could just clarify
Sorry,
there.
yeah, no, I know, yeah,
Allegedly, he raped children.
children,
Like,
yes,
it's not he
yeah,
didn't have sex with them; he raped them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, fair call. And so, even if he does get charged and prosecuted for misconduct in public office, that doesn't really do justice to the lived experience of all the victims, both alive and dead. And
Yeah.
that upsets me.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm also concerned that the entire Epstein Files ongoing saga is going to be completely engulfed in the prosecution of Andrew Mountbatten-WIndsor, when there are so many other people involved, so many other players, so many other people who have done equally or allegedly done equally horrific things,
Yeah.
who
Also,
may escape attention because of what's happening with him.
the news tried to say today, report that King Charles had no idea that Andrew was going to be arrested. I don't believe that for a second. Now, I just don't believe that the police in the UK.
I do actually. I'll tell you why in a minute.
Well, I just find it hard to believe because we live in such a class-based system that bows down to the royal family, and everything from the press to local politicians to the police all do so much to please and protect the reputation of the royal family. I just don't know if that's very believable that they wouldn't have told Charles.
Yeah, I actually believe that because for a couple of reasons. I think that if you were going to go to the trouble, well, let me what's the word, preface this, or let me put the caveat in that unless this entire thing is being staged in order to take attention away from Trump and all the other people named in the Epstein files, unless this is a purely organized distraction, which I don't think it is, but it's possible. I don't think if you were the police chief or officer, whoever it was that signed off on the fact that they were going to arrest him, I don't think you would let that information get out to anybody, particularly people in Andrew's family, because why would you go to all that trouble? Like, this is a big deal, something that hasn't happened in 350 years. why would you go to that effort only to potentially jeopardize any investigation? Because if the family had known, he might have gone and like destroyed evidence, or thrown out computers, or wiped hard
Or
drives, etc.
maybe
And
even
so,
ended his life.
or anything, or flown out of the country under the cover of a night in a private jet or something. Who knows? So I don't think they would have. But the other thing is, I do think that the times, they are changing, as Bob Dylan said. That I think since Queen Elizabeth II died, I think there has been a real shift in public attachment to the royal family in this country. And I don't agree with the concept of a monarchy. I don't like it. I don't like the money that they get, the privilege, the prestige, um, the tax exemptions, etc. I really don't like that. I think it's grossly unfair and a relic of a bygone age. But there was, despite a lot of people feeling similar things, there was a lot of respect for Queen Elizabeth II. And since she died and Charles became king, I think that's really changed. And that's why I don't think this would have happened while the Queen was still alive. I think
Well, it didn't happen while the Queen was alive because she
she paid,
was instrumental in getting the money together to
yeah,
pay Virginia to like sort of an out of court sort of
yeah,
settlement,
yeah,
which is
hush
reported to
money.
be up to 12 million pounds.
Hmm.
And
And nobody knows
that,
where that money came from. And it could have come
well, they do
from the
know
British
that
public.
they do, they do. Well, of course it does. Whereas any money that the royal family has come from at one point or another the British people or from the Commonwealth. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't. They just haven't magicked money out of the air over the
No,
generations.
no, that's true.
They've stolen and they've hoarded and they've earned money from being paid by British taxpayers. Another thing that makes me suspicious, and anyway, yeah, so to put that to rest, the Queen was in on it and was in on the cover up and she knew it and she paid money. She would have known this was her child, and the Queen would have been so well informed by public security forces that they employed that everything that her, ratbag children were up to,
Hmm.
she would have known all of this. They would have known. That would have been an open secret about who he was mixing with. He used to bring underage women um, and sometimes of age women to Buckingham Palace and bring them in through the gate without signing them into security book.
But I do
And
wonder how much of that the Queen was aware of.
I
Who
think most of
knows?
it.
Who knows? I think there are bigger questions to answer about the structures around the royals that have allowed this to happen. Because for any of these alleged crimes to have happened, I mean, the smuggling in of children, of young girls into the country in a private jet and taken to various royal residences, the amount of people that would have to have been involved in that is staggering. I mean, we're talking about dozens of people that would have had some knowledge of that. And that's the other thing I was
It
going to say as well. Like, I, I think, I don't think Andrew should be given any, he shouldn't be granted any sort of compassionate forgiveness. But I really don't want him to be the only person that gets prosecuted if he gets
no,
prosecuted, and I think
but
that's the other
one
thing.
of the things I'm most suspicious about is a few months ago, his all of his royal titles were stripped from him.
Mm.
To me, this just smells of some sort of drawn out plan that they knew that he was going to go down for something related to these files. And the king was in on it to have removed those titles. So when it did happen, the headlines weren't Prince Andrew was arrested, His Royal Highness was arrested. It is now, oh, this commoner named Andrew Mountbatten-WIndsor
Oh
has
yeah,
been
I mean,
arrested.
yeah, I mean
And
that was plainly obvious,
I
right?
think
Like,
I think that that has been sort of a medium term, long term plan to
yeah.
make sure that when he went down, and so that's why I think Charles did know.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that that fact that he did that months ago is such an interesting um, move, because it really indicates that the royal family or the advisors or whoever are acutely aware of this sort of change in public perception and public forgiveness towards the royal family, and how that relationship between the British public and the royal family has changed since Queen Elizabeth died. I think they could see the way it was going. They probably knew to some extent what Andrew has allegedly done. And so they were trying to get ahead of it by removing his royal titles. But I still think that if the Queen was still alive, I don't think the police would be arresting a member of the royal family. I think that since her death, there's been a real paradigm shift in the British public's relationship with the royal
How,
family. And
how do you think it happened? Like, how did the police get to the point to make that? Did somebody report those findings from the Epstein files to the police, and then they just who decided to take
well, I
action?
think there's an ongoing investigation. Well, there are several ongoing investigations, both here and abroad. And I suppose they waited until they thought they had enough evidence that they could bring him in for, well, arrest him on suspicion of something. But again, it makes me very sad that that's the crime that he's been not charged with, that he's been arrested for, misconduct in
He's
public
being
office.
investigated for. Well,
You
maybe
know,
it will just be the
the tip of the
beginning of,
iceberg, maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
because in discovery, for the court case, maybe a lot of other things will come out, or other evidence will be
Well,
entered in, and he'll be charged with further. He might be like questioned or investigated for other crimes. Did you know that he is eighth in line for the throne?
yeah, yeah,
And
uh,
did, did you know that, like, he's still, though, like, even though he's lost his
yeah,
royal
yeah.
title,
I know.
and the same with what's his name, the kid who moved, the son who moved to the US,
Harry. Yeah,
Harry is still in line. So
is
how do
he?
you remove someone? Yeah, like, so he's ahead of Andrew. So how do you remove someone from succession? Like,
I
how would
don't
they
know.
remove Andrew?
There
Like,
must be a process. I don't know what that is. But the other thing I was just going to say was that it's a very, like, from my personal perspective, it's a very odd um, situation to get your head around, because on one hand, I delight in the suffering of Andrew, because he's a prick. Do you know what I mean? Like, at
yeah,
the
he's a
best,
monster.
at the very best, you could say he's a fucking prick.
Yeah,
And then at worst, he's a serial sex criminal, rapist, whatever, like so many things. And so a part of me delights in his potential downfall, and that picture of him in the back of the car after getting arrested and stuff like that. Like, I delight in it.
yeah,
But then that's that coexists with this sadness that provides, for me and for lots of people, some satisfaction and resolution to this whole Epstein thing, like we've been saying, that we can delight in this. If he's been picked as the one that's going to take the fall for everyone else, I don't want to take any pleasure in it, because I'm
yeah,
then buying into that whole bullshit that he's going to go down and everyone else will walk away scot-free. I mean, I don't even have to mention his name, but the person sitting in the White House, who I'm sure is equally as guilty of that and other worse crimes, is
yeah.
not has not been arrested.
No,
You know,
I mean, it's
it's
outrageous.
disgusting.
But in closing, as we wrap up, we
Yeah, sorry,
mentioned
Steve.
that this is the first time that a member of the British royal family was arrested in more than 350 years. Charles I was taken prisoner in 1647 after his
Mm.
defeat in the English Civil War by parliamentary forces. The monarch was a firm believer in the divine right of kings and led a tyrannical reign, refusing to recognize the authority of Parliament when it came to matters of governance and religious practices in England and Scotland. He was put on trial and found guilty of high treason, charges which he denied by claiming that no court had jurisdiction over the monarch's God-given power. Charles I was beheaded in 1649, the only monarch to have been formally executed by the state. Now, times have changed. We probably won't have a execution, will we? Here.
No, and I've had a glass of port, so I'm gonna have to watch what I say. But
hold your tongue, too. Hold your
it's
tongue.
Unlikely that there will be any beheadings anytime soon. But you never know. Maybe public pressure will mount. What was I going to say? Yeah, we can't talk about it. We've run out of time. But there was
Yes.
Trump was overruled by the Supreme Court today in regards to his tariffs. So maybe that's something we can talk about next week.
Hilarious.
Because reading out that summary of King Charles, the whatever, it does sound a lot like Trump. But anyway, we should leave it there for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this rambling, whimsical conversation. But I just wanted to say a quick thank you and welcome to our new subscribers on YouTube. Don't forget that you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to or watching this episode, please do hit the subscribe button. Anything else you want to add, Sean?
We really like if you want to leave some comments under our videos. We've been getting some really nice comments. I've been getting some nice comments through my Instagram DMs as well. And if you have any suggestions about what Josh should drink on air next time, let us know in the comments.
No, I just want to stick to my port.
You had wine one week,
okay.
didn't you?
Oh, and then I had rum as well, didn't I? But yeah, no,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If there are any suggestions,
I'm not taking suggestions. I'll drink what I want to drink.
Okay.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram if you're interested. Sean is Fat Gay Vegan. I am Josh and the Jump Starts. I wrote the song, which is the theme to this podcast. So give that a listen if you like. The link is in the show notes. And yeah, we'll be back in your feeds this time next week. Please do leave us a comment.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care, folks.